Hello, my name's Jared Freeborn. I'm the owner of Black Square Financial, and I've been in the structured settlement industry for well over a decade now. If you're seeing this video, that means you have a structured settlement, whether it be from MetLife, Allstate, Prudential, Pacific Life, the list goes on and on. We can assist you in making court-ordered alterations to that policy. Now, you might be saying to yourself, that's not possible. You've always been told that that wasn't possible. Maybe your attorney told you not to talk to anybody. There's a ton of reasons as to why people don't understand or know about this. But I could tell you this. If you look up the Settlement Protection Act that was put in place in 2002, you'll know that you are able to make alterations. Now, the most important part is making sense of everything and going very prepared when you go in front of a judge, because you have to show them that this is in you, the policyholder's best interest. Now, with all that being said, I wanted to put this together to allow people to put a face to the name and have something visual, because what I noticed over the years and thousands of conversations, thousands of clients that I've been able to help in my tenure, the most common thing is either they didn't know they could do this or they didn't trust whoever they were speaking to. And they also always say they're visual learners. They don't understand just random words over a phone call by a stranger. So I wanted to do this. And what I'm going to do is a very broad explanation of what some clients do as potential avenues to both diversify, spread their money out, as well as have a lot more flexibility. So I'm going to take the time to share my screen, show you guys some things and explain what it is. But I just wanted to preface and say, I'm mainly doing this to just open the minds of people that may just completely shut this idea down due to lack of knowledge or lack of trust. Okay. So take your time, digest all this information. I'm here to answer any and all questions. I'll make sure that you have my phone number at the end of this, and I look forward to hearing from you. But let's dive into this. Now, before I start screen sharing the compound interest calculator, which is a simple calculator that financial advisors use basically to show what the portfolio could grow to be if they average a specific rate of return. When I screen share, I'm going to start with a 10% rate of return. Reason being is if you look up the S&P 500 over the last 100 years, it's averaged about 10.6%, which fluctuates every single day. So I'm going to do this at 10%, and then I'll back it down to 8% and maybe even 6%, just for the skeptical people that think that this is a little too inflated and a little too good to be true. Now, one more thing I want to say is I myself am not a financial advisor. I'm not certified to give financial advice like this. I am simply going based off actual client meetings with very real financial advisors. So let's dive into it. I'm going to start screen sharing, and then we're going to go from there. I'll make sure that I'm fully explaining as I'm going into everything and be as concise and clear as possible. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I picked a nice whole number of $100,000, and I picked a 30-year term. The reason I picked a 30-year term is from the majority of the people that I help, these payments and policies typically go very far out. Now, if yours doesn't, that doesn't matter. This is all relative information. And if you immediately see 100,000, you're like, I don't have enough, or I don't want to invest that much, it's still relative, and I'll explain how. So the 30-year term, if you go scroll down, this is going to break it down year by year, right? And rule of 72 states that as long as you're averaging a 10% rate of return, every 7 years, your money would double. Obviously, the higher rate of return, the faster the money will double. 10%, just to keep it nice and easy when you're going over options in your head. If you wanted to look at line 7 here, 100 turns into 200. That's year 7. If we go to year 14, the 200 turns to 400 and change, and then and so on. 21, it goes to 809 grand, and so on. The reason I show you this and explain this is because if this number is too high for you, you could do the same thing on any amount that you want to in your head relatively easy, right? So if you go to $50,000, it's still the same rule of thumb as long as you're averaging a 10% rate of return. $50,000 at lines. Year 7 turns into over $100,000. Year 14 turns in over $200,000, and so on. Now, I know the numbers are very enticing. They're very shiny, but that, in my opinion, is not what is the most enticing thing to me. I personally like the flexibility aspect of this, right? Because most of my clients are young, which means life is constantly adjusting. They don't know exactly what they're going to be doing in the next 5 years, 10 years, and so on. This is fully flexible. At any point, this can be altered or accessed without penalty, right? So let's say that 2 years pass and you're like, you know what? I want to start a business. The good news is you have $22,000 in accrued interest that is accessible without damaging the original investment amount of $100,000. Now, again, this is at a 10% rate of return, but it's really irrelevant what the rate of return is, as long as you average anywhere from, let's say, 6 to 10%. That's a pretty solid return. Of course, the higher the return, the better. But depending on the overall term, as far as how many years you're investing, that is what is typically the most important when it comes to investing. Time is your best friend when it comes to investing, right? So again, the numbers are nice and everything like that, but I mainly like the flexibility aspect. If you wanted to take a monthly withdrawal from this money, you could do that. Now, obviously, you can't go crazy and take too much out. Otherwise, you're going to start eating into the initial investment, which you don't want to do. But on $100,000, you could take $300 a month. Again, if you're averaging a 10% rate of return and still have the money grow at a significant rate. Right. So again, my objective is not to overwhelm or confuse. It's to open the minds of people that don't know that this avenue exists or don't have any guidance or idea on what they can do to better protect themselves and allow them to have a lot more flexibility. This is not the only avenue. This is not the only thing that makes sense. Majority of the time, once we dive into it and have a conversation, I'm able to poke holes in your financial situation and really make sense of things by finding needs that make sense. As some examples from past clients, maybe you have high interest debt, your car payment's too high. There's stuff that could be eliminated to put you in the green, as they say, on a monthly basis or yearly basis or whatever. Another avenue that a lot of clients take is it depends on your scenario, right? Let's say that you're in school and you have 2 years left. And by the time when you get out, I should say, you're going to have a career where you're not going to rely on this monthly income anymore or these future lump sums anymore. You could structure it in a way where it does not start immediately. So the point in all of this is not to tell you that this is the way, this is the only avenue, this is what makes sense. It's to show you a potential avenue and explain that there is always a way to make sense of things. And if there's not a way to make sense of your specific scenario, your specific policy, I'm not going to waste my time because I need a judge to approve this, right? So keep all of this in mind when you're making your decision. Reach out, have a conversation. At the very worst, I could guarantee you'll learn something. I do not think you'll regret reaching out and having a conversation that could potentially change the complete path of your financial position and your overall life if done correctly. Of course, that's the most important thing. I could lead a horse to water, but I can't force them to drink. If you decide to do something silly with your money once you get it, there's nothing I could do. I do my best alongside my team to make sure that you follow through with the plan and ultimately succeed for the long term, right? So thank you so much for your time. I hope to hear from you soon. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Better Business Bureau and quickly screen share some reviews. And I will also let you guys know if you want to go to our YouTube channel, you could find full client testimonial videos as well. All right, so this is the last thing I wanted to do on this video. This is the Better Business Bureau, which we are A+ rated on, as you can see right here, and we have 4.9 out of 5 stars. The only negative reviews you'll find are from people that have fake names, which we believe are competitors because it just doesn't make any sense. So take your time, go and read the reviews. You're going to see my name quite a bit because even though I'm the owner, I am hands on. I am involved in every single transaction that happens in these doors because I want to make sure that things are done how I want them to be done. I want to make sure that clients are treated exactly how I expect them to be treated. So I am very, very hands on. So, of course, we've helped thousands more people than you see on these reviews, but unfortunately, it's not that easy to get people to take a couple minutes to leave a review once they already got their money, to be honest. So, there's no shortage of reviews. Again, if you want to look at actual client testimonials and see something visual, you could go to our YouTube channel and find videos there or reach out to me directly with any questions. Again, I thank you so much for your time.